So, PlayStation just held one of its State of Plays, where they showcased a lot of upcoming new games and showed exciting new trailers for games we already knew about. And I know it's popular to hate on these State of Plays because they always disappoint in some way and don't show off Bloodborne 2 or whatever, or in this case Devil May Cry 6. It still had a lot of highlights, and I want to talk about them here. The first reveal was already one of the most exciting ones, which was for Kena Scars of Kosmora, a sequel to the 2021 indie hit Kena Bridge of Spirits, which was a super fun action-adventure title with some cool combat and light puzzle solving in a world with a beautiful art style that was reminiscent of 3D animated movies, and it was just a blast. So seeing this back is really cool, and it seems to double down on all of its mechanics and structures, but with just more refinement and more depth, for example in its combat. Scars of Kosmora sees a more mature Kena travel to a new land, where spirit guides are not just responsible for the souls of the dead, but also for the living. And this time you're not accompanied by these little adorable rod creatures, but instead by these foxes, I would say, and they look equally adorable. And I think that's a big strength of this game, that it just manages to look so cute. It looks like this game is just doubling down on what made the first game work to begin with and just refines its edges some more, and I think that's all it really needs. Kena Scars of Kosmora is slated for 2026, but with no concrete release date yet. They also showed gameplay for Ghost of Yotei's Legends mode. So this is a multiplayer mode similar to the Legends mode that Ghost of Tsushima had. Again, it has a very twisted, dark, very red version of Japan full of demons. And the premise for this Legends mode seems to be that you are going up against main antagonists of the game, but in demonic forms, and they showed off some of these bigger boss fights against these demons, which that is new for Legends. I don't think there were any boss fights in the original one. And presumably it will follow a similar structure to that of Tsushima, with again some story missions and some wave-based missions, and maybe again another raid. They didn't show off too many details here, but it's safe to assume that it will be somewhat similar to the first game's mode, and I love that. I love playing it with my friends, and I think it's super underrated actually, so I'm excited for this one. I haven't played Yotei yet, but this is a good reason for me to get it sooner or later. Ghost of Yotei Legends is coming out in just shy of a month on March 10th. Another thing I found really cool was that they showed gameplay for Control Resonant, the upcoming new game from the makers of Alan Wake and of course Control. And of course this is the sequel to Control, but instead of being a third-person shooter, this is an action game, and I'm not quite sure about this combat, to be honest. It's, I think, quite clear that this is a first go around for them, but for that it still looks good, it still looks fun. It's not on the level, I'd say, on a game like Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden, but it looks competent. But what's more impressive, I think, is this version of New York that they showed, this twisted version with these buildings that are on their side, and you can change gravity, which is really nice. And I haven't seen this mechanic since Gravity Rush, I think, and it's nice to see that back. Yeah, and even though this combat might need some more work, to be honest, I still trust in Remedy because they do not really disappoint with their single-player games. Another thing I found really cool is that they showed a Prologue DLC for the game Neva. If you don't know, Neva is a game made by the same developers who made the wonderful Gris, I still don't know how to pronounce it. As the title implies, this DLC is set before the events of the main game, and it shows you how the two protagonists actually met each other. And there's not much to say about this one, it looks just as beautiful as the main game, and it's nice to see that they're continuing with this style of game, with such a DLC. Neva Prologue is coming out very soon, actually, in less than a week, on February 19th. And here's a thing that I found very interesting. I don't think it's a game I will ever buy, but still. Project Windless was shown off, which is a Dynasty Warrior style game where you plow through these massive battles with huge armies, and you have these combos where you can wipe out dozens of enemies at a time. It's a very over-the-top game, and this game looks like that, but instead of playing as a human warrior, you play as a humanoid chicken, and I just think this is so crazy and that's just how it stand out to me as the Chicken Dynasty Warriors game. That's how I wrote it down. Yeah, I won't play this one, to be honest, but I just think that was worth mentioning here. And next up was a little game called Crimson Moon, which looks to be a mix of Souls-like with a more action-focused game like Doom. And mixing these two together is actually a combination that works really well from what the trailer shows off. And it also seems to have co-op, so I'm down for this. It looks very metal, and I'm always down for a good action and or Souls-like. So it's coming out in the fall of 2026 with no release date yet. Then they showed off some gameplay for Star Wars Galactic Racer. This was announced I think at the Game Awards last year, and I think to pretty lukewarm reception, and I wasn't really impressed by it either. But this gameplay actually looks super fun. It reminds me a lot of Burnout Paradise, so old school arcade racing games where there's this focus on very high speed races and also wrecking the other cars around you, which leads to these very cinematic crash sequences in slow motion. It looks very fun, and honestly I'm much more interested in this now than I was before, and maybe you are too. I think this looks very cool. It's coming out sometime in 2026. They also showed the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 2, which has been rumored for a long time, and it's finally here. This includes Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, which was stuck on PS3 for the longest time, and also Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, which was originally made for the PSP. And these are finally coming to PS5 and probably also PC on August 27th this year. Then there was a reveal of Silent Hill Townfall. We knew about this one, there was a teaser a few years ago, but now we had a proper reveal trailer, and it looks really good. This game is continuing the trend of setting the Silent Hill franchise away from its titular town, and while Silent Hill F was of course set in Japan, this one is set apparently in Scotland on a fictional Scottish island named Saint Amelia. Similar to Silent Hill F, this game is not made by Konami itself, but by a different studio. And it's supposed to be the start of a number of different spin-offs of the Silent Hill franchise, which are all going to be made by different studios, different creatives, which is an exciting premise because it allows for more voices, more just different experiences within this franchise. It looks very much like classic Silent Hill, but with the twist that it's in first person actually. I'm a bit concerned about the yearly release schedule that we're doing with Silent Hill, but so far they have been very consistent in quality apparently, and this one seems to be no different. It looks to be just another classic survival horror game, and yeah, I'm just down for that. It doesn't have a release date, but it's slated for sometime this year. Probably the biggest announcement was the God of War Trilogy remake reveal. So apparently this is still in early stages, but Sony Santa Monica is working on this and is remaking the whole trilogy, which is quite insane to me. I'm not sure about this, to be honest. I think it would have been better to just remaster or port the original games, because I just played the first one last year and it has its rough edges, but it's still a very fun time. But they're not doing that. They're going for full remake treatment, and who knows how that's going to look, if they are going to stay with true to the original gameplay style, or if they're going to try to bring it closer in line with the new games. I hope not, because I would hate to see the old games lose their identity in that way, but we'll have to wait and see. It's at least nice that they brought back the original voice actor for Kratos for this one, and that shows a lot of respect for their legacy. They also revealed a new God of War game, Sons of Sparta, which is a 2D Metroidvania action game with a pixel art style, and that is quite different for God of War. This game is set way before any of the other games and sees you playing as a child Kratos, who is apparently already taking down all these mythological creatures, which screams retconning, to be honest, so I don't know. And the combat doesn't look that convincing either, but it has been shadow dropped right away after the showcase, so it's out now, you can play it, you can buy it. It will be interesting to see how this one lands. I can't really judge it. Probably by the time this video goes live there will already be some impressions of it online. So these were all of the reveals that struck me, but they also showed some new cool trailers for games that have already gotten plenty of marketing material, but there's still more to learn apparently. So Resident Evil 9 got its 4th trailer here and it just looks amazing. They showed some more story details, teasing some of the reasons why Grace and Leon are being drawn to Raccoon City, and they also showed some more locations that the game will take place in, and it just looks fantastic. I cannot wait for it. And Saros also got a new trailer and showed off some more of the new story elements that they have in this game compared to Returnal, the last game of the studio, and also showed some of the permanent progression systems. They also showed off a system of modifiers where you can make the game easier in some ways, but have to balance that out by making it more difficult than others. And I think that's really clever, and it can make the runs feel even more unique and tense. These were all the main things that caught my attention in the State of Play. There were of course some more cool things, games that were announced or shown off, so I'm eager to hear your opinion down in the comments below. Which games caught your attention, and did you think the State of Play was mid, or was it good, was it bad? Yeah, I'm eager to hear all about it in the comments below. But that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.